her officially. Alpana, as most of you know, is the president of DY Works. They've been a sort of global award-winning design firm, as well as they've won the Print Week India Awards just a couple of weeks ago. Alpana is an IIMA and economics graduate and has been dispensing her 25 plus years of experience across the US and India in the luxury, FMCG and retail sectors. She adopts a culture-based approach for building brand belief. And I suspect at some point of time touching probably something like 90% of the brands which are out there in the space there. So Alpana, if you can, yeah, thank you.
Good morning all, and thank you Ramu, thank you Tanvi. It's great to be here. It's particularly great to be here because I work with DY Works, and DY Works is India's largest packaging design firm. So we do about 300 packaging projects in a year, and I dare say a lot of you would have worked with some of our designs. The reason I'm saying this is because it's extraordinary that we being who we are and you being who you are, we don't meet. And we don't work together. We work with your brand teams, and we don't work with the packaging experts. And that's always been a point of dichotomy, because real innovation comes when teams work together. So design teams, brand teams, packaging teams, and converters together collectively will actually build innovation. The truth is, there are silos, and one of the things we come across very often when we think of an innovation which might even drive down costs, or it might be it might acquire new customers entirely. We are told mold is very expensive. So the mold cost will be 25 lakhs, maybe 3-4 molds, might be 1 crore. And then we turn around and ask them, but what is the advertising cost? What is the advertising budget you're spending? And pack is what consumers spend money for. Eventually, they don't pay for the product because they haven't yet seen the product. What they pay money for is the pack. It's a very, very important ingredient in building brands. And I'm hoping on this forum, Ramu, that you've given us, we are able to collaborate better and actually drive some significant innovations within the country. So the idea of unique and innovative packaging, because that is something we try and do. Today, consumers are making decisions at the shelf. There was a time when consumers thought about what they wanted to buy before they went there, and then they bought. So when I graduated, which was over 30 years ago, we were told that the most loyal customer in the world was the CDC, the Colgate Dental Cream customer. That customer went month after month and bought the same toothpaste. Today, Colgate has some 12 variants. So by definition, the number of variants, the number of categories, the explosion of different brands has resulted in choices for consumers, and consumers today do not make up their mind before they hit the shelf. They decide at the shelf, and therefore packaging plays an even more important role than ever before in actually causing conversions, in fact far more so than advertising. So I'm hoping that you will join me in this evangelism for packaging. I really believe it is one way of growing. So when we are looking at examples of unique packaging, you can Google and find lots of them. These are some old examples, but there's lots of stuff done internationally. I think in India, so you will find, in India there are some unique ones. Some have been done by us. I think 3 or 4 have been done by us. Sorry. And there are many more that you will find. There is, I'm sure that I'm backing out, the number of possible innovations or unique designs that have been done. Uniqueness is not alone, it's a good factor, but it's not alone to drive actually shift in behavior. Design needs to not just appeal, design needs to transform. And design is not just pictures that are drawn or colors on a substrate, but design is the choice of materials, the choice of opening, the choice of the size of the package, and so on. And Soma and I were discussing earlier, it doesn't always, the very definition or the very expectation that the moment there is something which will be designed, it will end up becoming more expensive and therefore unviable, is also a notion that we all sort of live with, but that need not be true. And in fact, design can drive costs down as well as ergonomically appeal to consumers. So there are many opportunities there. When it came to innovation and finding innovation examples, which is actually doing things differently and new, and not just doing new, but shaping behavior as a result of what's being done, there were some, of course, examples of how people started using things differently and how packaging changed behaviors to begin with. So these were some early innovations, some which are biodegradable milk jugs are new ones, which you find all across the world. When it came to India, I tried to think of examples, and the paperboard notwithstanding, I really hit a brick wall. I didn't find anything I could term an innovation, a significant innovation in India, which was a packaging innovation. So there were tweaks, there were different kinds of bottles, there were flip caps, there was sizing, but there were tweaks. When you call innovation, which is a leap really in the way things are being done and how people are using things, I think those we found missing. We found not enough of understanding of Indian ground realities. So, for example, how do we use masalas? Or how do we, one of the conversations, is there anybody from Heinz here? So one of the conversations I had with your CEO a couple of years ago was to say that if you want to build a world of sauces, the way we have a world for pickles, maybe we need to serve it the way we have pickles on a table. And therefore a certain multiplicity of offering could change the way people start consuming more. So I think driving those kinds of notions, which are fundamentally different, is what will change behavior and markets and the world of packaging in large. So why really is this? And I'm sorry, this is not specifically about packaging, but this is, I've been trying to understand why we are such poor adopters of innovation. In 1979, I met a fantastic architect called Sharat Das, who was talking about an innovation that he had made, which had upturned mud pots, ghadhas, on top of a slab, and then he had another slab on top. It created an insulation, and because of that insulation, you were either 7 degrees lower or higher, depending on external temperature, inside. It's a brilliant solution for India, and we see no adoption of it. Solar cookers in a country which has 300 days of sunshine, we don't have a better solar cooker. Floating bicycles have been around forever, no adoption of it. Mitti-cooled refrigerators, you take innovation after innovation, which have been brilliant, and yet as a country, we fail to adopt them. And so packaging is the last in that long list of wonderful innovations. And so if you think about why this has happened, 1657 was really the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. The first steam engine was invented about that time. And in India, we had ascension of Aurangzeb, at the same time. 1757 was when the first commercial cars and the macadamization of roads, the tarred roads that are there now. Whereas in India, we lost the Battle of Plassey, and East India Company established rule in the country. So, the world was going in a very different place, and India was in a very different place. 1857, by that time, and this is true, the zipper, the safety pin, the fax machine, fiber optics, hydrogen fuel cells, Pullman sleeper coach, all get invented. In India, the British Raj is established, and we are growing cash crops like indigo and cotton. And a few suppliers of processing raw materials, such as steel and so on, do develop as well. We are far, far behind from the world. So when 1957 comes, our second 5-year plan is unveiled by that time. It's 10 years after independence. And we are playing catch up with the world. We have not been there. The world has seen, through the last 400 years, the world has seen the power of innovation, the commercial power of innovation. Every time they have launched something new, it has been a commercial success, and fortunes have been built on that. In India, we never saw the commercial power of innovation. And so we played catch up. We modeled IIT after MIT, whereas India possibly needed different kinds of technology solutions and maybe a different kind of education. The school, my alma mater, was a blueprint after Harvard Business School. However, in India, you had small traders and small merchants, and their sons needed to professionalize, and maybe it was a different kind of education that was needed, and not just a whole generation of people who became managers in multinationals or in banks or in investment firms. So, in a nutshell, after years of total lack of industrial development, we just leaped into this whole copy and paste, and if it was working outside, we would buy it. And as a mindset, we still come across places where this is working outside, so let's bring it here. But we're not thinking from inside. We're not thinking from organically, from ground up, what should be the solutions which are right for us. Sorry, so I'm just going to skip this. But things like the hydel dams, the large hydel dams, we all know that they were possibly not the best solutions. A whole lot of smaller dams are more economically viable, environmentally stable, and so on. So, whether it's education, business models, architecture, products, lifestyles, thought, and packaging, we are still doing pretty much the same. And my request, my urging to you all is that, so this is my presentation, I don't have anything more than this, but would be that as a group, collectively, let us think afresh in the world of packaging, and let us use this forum that Print Week has so generously afforded us to bring together a diverse group of people who are from design, from brand teams, from packaging teams, and from converters, and next year hopefully see many more people across all of these industries. So thank you. Thank you.
So Alpana was very generous with her time, so she has to leave. In case any of you have a specific query with related to her presentation or her work, you could probably ask now, because
I'm here for an hour.
You are here for an hour. Excellent. Okay. So in case, but is there any query that you have? Because otherwise all the questions we'll take it at the end. So anything specific that you'd like to ask her?
You said about adoption in the country today. I think as far as... Hello. So you spoke about adoption and it being a problem in the country today. But I think the past 10 years, as far as I can remember and recall, the adoption rate for any new technology in the country is far higher than it used to be. I agree with you when you say that probably we are not looking or going inside out. We are not innovating enough in the country today. But I am very sure that if we do that, so there are two legs, right? So one is the innovation, one is the adoption. So I think as far as the adoption goes, we are there. It's just that the innovation part
is not keeping pace.
Is not keeping pace. Apple is a wonderful example. I think 10 years back, when the mobile technology was just ramping up, no one thought Apple would be so successful in India. Today, if it has a worldwide release, I think the response here in India is far better, or probably the same as it's there in the US and the other countries. So I think we need to up the ante as far as the innovation goes. Absolutely. And I think if it keeps pace with the adoption piece, I think
figure out technology and how can we create content in multiple languages, and, whole lot of things. Absolutely with you.
Just two packaging related innovations that we've come across in the last 3 months. I'm sorry I'm eating into your time, Alpana. So one was, I don't know if you were there at the awards at the Hyatt. This is a small company called Jaina, who does a lot of work with corrugation. And they basically do furniture which is created out of corrugation. And the idea is that it gets you can dispense with it in 2 years, 3 years, which is fantastic for children's furniture. But there was a need. Now, as you realize, there are in the district of Mumbai there are deaths, and most of them are done in teak wood, in coffins. There has been a jurisdiction and there has been a ruling saying that teak wood should be avoided. Now, it is over here that he found a sort of need, and he started then, in a way, manufacturing coffins made out of corrugation. So it serves three purposes. One is it's a good replacement for teak, A. B, you can, it has the sort of necessary properties which ensures that the coffin itself has wear and tear, and therefore within a month, a year and a half, it disintegrates, and therefore, and third is whatever is the sort of religious beliefs of the person who's passed away or the family of the people, all of that is kept intact. Now this is something I think he's trying to present because presently something very interesting is happening. Most of the people who can afford it go outside of Mumbai to do their burials. This is basically people who need a coffin, So that is, I think, one fantastic innovation that's there. Where, and as he says, death is a recession-free market, so coffins will always be in need.
It's a growing market and
it's a huge market in India. So that was one. Another wonderful innovation I saw was from, I think the IIP was part of it, was at Calcutta Airport. Actually, this was, they've created something called good in sort of liquid form. And as you know, with solid good, they wanted to ensure that NRIs and so on. So basically, there's a concept that the West Bengal government has called Vishwa Bengal, and they want to ensure that food items from Bengal are available to citizens all over the world. Gur, as you know, has a lifespan of I think 2 to 3 hours, correct me. And they then treated this and have got this packaged, and now I think they've increased the lifespan of that particular product to 90 days. And it's available. So, and if I'm not mistaken, somebody again from IIP would probably, it's patented, right? This particular thing is patented. And again, this was almost what, 18 months in terms of product development, because they looked at various, stand-up pouches with a little bit of a retort on top, etc. So they looked at multiple options and then arrived at this. And I think this is something they're also now trying to do with coconut water. Coconut water, fresh bananas, these kind of things. So work is happening. The thing is, a lot of it is below the surface, so therefore sometimes we tend to, not notice it.
Wonderful. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alpana.